so originally the tax came in to cool down the market, but now it's just punitive. It's just hurting foreign buyers, and it's like a tax grab at the end of the day, and that's what I can't stand.
Yep.
Yeah, because the market's already cooled. So
why is this tax coming in?
Yeah,
because Toronto broke.
Look, I get it. The Toronto real estate market is confusing. Whether you're a new or experienced investor or just looking for a home to raise your family in, join us at Broadview Table Talks as we sit around the table with my friends and talk about the real estate and the ever-changing market in Toronto.
Okay, guys, today we're going to be talking about just ranting about whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal government and how they're messing up the real estate market. And I think what they can do differently, right? So let's try to stay away from politics as much as possible, but inevitably politics is involved in the decision making because that's what they do, right? They make policies. Yeah. Politics are policymakers.
Yeah.
And one thing I just came across my mind is that really bothering me is this speculation tax thing. It's so annoying. You know why? Because so what it is that the Liberal government banned foreign buyers from coming in and buying property because they thought that this is what is jacking up the prices. Mm-hmm. This happened in 2018, 2020, something like that? 2 years ago.
I think it was 2018.
When things were kind of just going crazy. And then by the time they actually brought it as a rule and got it passed through legislation, the market cooled down again.
Yeah.
Right? So, but they had to go through it and had to see it through. What are you laughing at?
I'm just waiting for you to finish.
Okay, so they had to see it through. So they had a 2-year ban on foreign buyers, so they couldn't even buy at all.
Yeah.
They also introduced a foreign speculation tax as well too, in the provincial level, a 25% tax. Yeah. So then they reversed that because the market cooled down a little bit, and they needed to with the interest rate hikes, and then they allowed people with work permits to be able to buy.
Right.
Yeah. But you still have to pay the 25% speculation tax.
Right.
So all this was done to cool down the market when it was heating up, just blaming these foreign buyers, but they're not the ones ruining the market. It's just because of supply and demand imbalance at the end of the day. Now, Olivia Chow, the current Toronto mayor, wants to put a 10% speculation tax on this in addition to it.
In addition?
But the market's already cool.
Yeah.
So now if you're a foreign buyer, and I'm not talking about just like from overseas and you're buying, just dropping some money and throwing across the
throw across
ocean,
the sea. Yeah.
throw across the ocean and just land in Canada. No, that's not what they're doing. They need to be here. They land here. They're new immigrants. They're here on work permit. They're here on study permit, whatever they are.
Right.
And they want to buy something because they truly don't want to. They don't want to rent.
Yeah.
But they can't. Or they got paid now a 25 plus another 10%.
35%
tax. 35% tax in Toronto. So when the market's already cooled, and that's not why. So originally, the tax came in to cool down the market. But now it's just punitive. It's just hurting foreign buyers, and it's like a tax grab at the end of the day, and that's what I can't stand.
Yep.
Yeah, because the market's already cooled. So
why is this tax coming in?
Yeah,
because Toronto broke. It's so stupid.
Yeah, and that came hot on the heels, or that came with this news tidbit hot on the heels that apparently there is being $100 million being spent just so that the city of Toronto can host FIFA.
What?
And I was looking at that and I was like, wait, so we're coming in
though.
FIFA historically has not helped.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto has also
Olympic, right? Same thing.
Yeah, same.
So Toronto, we may have TFC, but really, do we spend that much money watching TFC? I don't think we generate that much revenue.
I think the idea is that you're supposed to it boosts up the hotel industry, boosts up the restaurant industry, and tourism, and it just gives us some more recognition. I mean, I guess the Pan Am Games came and went, and we got the Canary District out of it, which is great, but I don't know. I think it was a net loss, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to mention. Historically, FIFA, Olympics has not been great to cities. They destroyed them economically. Just they lose too much money making all these things that are never used again. We're lucky that FIFA this year is going to be split up between 3 different places, right? 3 different places.
Mexico, US, and Canada.
Yeah, and different cities too. So in Canada, it's in multiple cities. Yeah. So we're lucky it's like that, so we don't have to build so many new stadiums, right?
Look at Qatar, for example, 2 years ago.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
So that was my thing. I was like, okay, so we're trying to figure out this budget shortfall, this deficit that we supposedly have. We're trying to implement all these new taxes, and we're spending $100 million to bring FIFA to Toronto? Really?
Yeah.
How much are you spending on Dundas Street?
I was renaming Dundas Street. I was like, oh my God, what is happening?
So they need the money coming in. So there you go.
I mean, I guess there's 2 ways to look at it, right? I told you we shouldn't get into politics. Sorry. The government, the municipal government is focused on trying to earn more money, but they're not looking at what they're spending, which is crazy. Which I don't know. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I really think we should get our ducks in a row first and figure out exactly how much we need to spend as a city to maintain our services, and then actually start figuring out how we can come about getting that level of service.
No, man. I think they should tax the foreign buyers and they should tax the homeowners and
They should stop immigration.
Yeah. Meanwhile, stopping like students.
Okay, so actually, wait. Speaking of that, taxing the foreign buyers. Well, if they're forced to come here, and there's like, sure, they're going to cap the study permits by 35%, which is fine. That's 150,000 people. That's not going to make a dent.
Goodbye, UFT.
No, it's not going to make a dent.
It's not even
You
UFT.
don't think so? No, it's not going to make a dent. So right now we have, 1.2 million people coming to Canada as of 2023, around there. If they cap 150,000 off of it, let's call it 1 million people. Let's call it.
That's still a lot of people.
That's still a lot of people. So instead of 3% of the population growing, because we have 40 million people, so 1.2 is 3% of 40 million. 1 million is 2.5% of 30 million. So half a percentage point of immigration. That's all we're losing.
Yep.
So it's just a political play to make it sound good, but ultimately it's not going to make a difference. And if they come here and they have to pay the stupid tax, 35% tax, they're not going to buy something. Even 25% tax, they're not going to buy something. Majority won't. I mean, some of our clients did, which is cool. But
But they
ones
had
that
to.
come here,
But they had to.
no, they just don't want to pay rent because they're eventually going to get PR and they're going to get their money back.
Well, they're planning on living here anyway.
They're planning on staying
Yeah.
here. They're actually relocating here, which is cool, and they get the money back.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bad idea because then now you force people into the rental market, which causes a lot of problems for other tenants because you're competing and it just pushes up the rates. I mean, last year the rental rate went up 8.something%, 8.9%.
Yeah, you're really
Highest
just just driving the rental market back up anyway because we're still not building enough.
Yeah.
So we're forcing people who were able to buy to not fund these new projects to instead rent.
It's a good time to be a leech. I mean, a landlord.
It's always a good time to be a landlord.
Time to pull the turtlenecks back out.
Yeah, and when the news came out with just the ban in general, I've never truly understood it. Like from the get go, I was like, well, aren't they creating housing for a lot of people, right? These landlords or these foreign buyers. Like,
That's another argument too, but that's the one where it's more pro landlord than it is pro tenant. The tenants don't like hearing that because they say, okay, if all these landlords from overseas are funding these projects, they're also buying up real estate that could have been bought by a local.
That's the stupidest argument ever, and I would fight anybody that wants to bring that argument in front of my face. I would like literally just fight them.
I mean,
it just doesn't make sense.
You could see our pre-con now. Like nobody wants to buy it. Oh, I wish we had those foreign buyers. You know?
Yeah. Right. What's gonna happen in the next 5 years? You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be a big issue in 5 years.
Well, I mean, what happened to One Bloor West? All the development stopped. You just don't have enough money.
Right?
There's not enough money coming in.
But that's exactly
This
it.
is super high-end luxury rentals. That's not really going to change the rental supply, right? But like, anyway, the rental supply is going to be a problem in the next few years for sure because the supply isn't keeping up with the demand that we have. So if anybody says that landlords are hoarding supply, they're idiots because they're the ones that create supply. Because ultimately, that supply is not going to come down to affordability. Affordable. Like, what's affordable? What does affordable mean? So that when that person complaining is able to buy something, then they say, oh, okay, bring it back up now. Bring the rates back up. Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't get it.
Like, who does that benefit at the end of the day?
What?
The landlords, right?
What? What benefits?
If everyone were able to buy real estate, who's that benefit? The moral of the story is the people who are complaining only want it to benefit them.
Yeah. So they get on the train.
They can get on the train.
But once they're on the train, do they want it to go down? No, of course not. They want to go back up.
Right.
So that just defeats the whole argument.
Right.
Anyway, it's silly.
Until everybody is on the train's not going to go back up. So who's going to support that, right?
Yeah, it's just a silly argument. Another thing I have is the whole land transfer taxes. So recently, as of this year, as of January 1st, anything over $3 million, there's an additional new municipal land transfer tax rate. So the rate went up a little bit and it scales up higher and higher. So from 3 to 5 million is not much of a difference, but from 5 and up, it scales up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. So again, originally when land transfer taxes were first introduced, it was at the provincial level.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be meant to be a temporary thing. And then it was supposed to be removed after a while. It never got removed, just like GST. It never got removed.
They really enjoyed receiving that additional income.
Of course, they're depending on it now, right? So then now the municipal level said, oh, the provincial's doing it, I'm going to do it too. So then Toronto now does it, and they were at the same point, at the same scale at one point.
Yeah.
And then eventually Toronto is broke because of all our services. Because people come from like 9 to 5 and use our services.
Yeah.
They come in on the highways and they go to work and then leave and go back to the suburbs.
Yeah.
And they're not paying any taxes for that.
No.
So the people living in the 416 are the ones paying the taxes for that.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, they have to scale their land transfer taxes higher than provincial.
Right.
So that's the issue. And it's supposed to be temporary again, but it's not temporary.
No.
That is a big issue. And the development charges, that's another one. When you're buying new construction. Did you know that when you're building a new condo, 30%, is it 30%, 33? Something like that. Around a third of the cost of what you're paying for a new condo, a new construction unit.
Yeah, you're right. It was 30%.
It's a third.
Yeah.
It goes to taxes and fees and development levies and all this kind of little nickel and dime crap
Yeah.
that really, really does add up. I shouldn't say nickel and dime because it's actually a lot of money.
Yeah.
Development charges, parkland levies, all that kind of stuff. It goes to a third of it is the cost of your condo. That's insane. That's insane. That's a lot. Just for taxes.
It's a lot.
Crazy.
And the reason why I do that is because our property taxes are, arguably they are pretty low. Like the rate is low, just the values are high. So it ends up being more for our property taxes than outside of Toronto.
Right, but when we saw the math on those numbers, and we were like, okay, yeah, sure, the development fees and everything is so expensive, and then at the same time, we also had a couple of people say, oh, but developers make so much money. I'm like, well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're taking on a lot of risk.
The government makes more than the developers with no risk.
That's what blew my mind. The government makes 30%, almost 3 times more than the developer does on a project.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind.
That's crazy.
Municipal government. But the reason, so the reason why is because it's basically like your first entry into the let's call it a club. The first entry into the club, you're paying a big fee, and then ongoing, your monthly dues or annual dues is not as high. So if you change it up a little bit and you put the first entry fee to be a little bit lower, then the ongoing dues will be higher. That's how you support the budget because ultimately the books have to balance, right? So unless you get a municipal bond or something, but anyway, that's our to raise money, right? So they have more debt. Anyway, that's my issue. Taxes sucks.
Yeah. And when we're on the topic of generating more income to support the municipality, one thing that recently blew my mind was the fact that apparently because the major highways that come in and out of the city Toronto core, those are federal properties.
No, they're not.
They're owned by the federal government.
Right, but they're maintained by the municipal government. And recently, there's a deal struck where provincial is going to take that over now from Doug Ford from Mayor Chow. So that was a nice deal. So
are they going to do that?
Some of the pressure. Yeah, it's going to go provincial.
Thank God.
It's going to take care of the DVP and I think the Gardner.
Because when they said that, we're not going to allow the city of Toronto to toll the people using those highways. Instead, we're going to force the city of Toronto to pay for the services and maintenance of it.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh my God, that's pretty bad. But if they struck a deal recently, then
yeah, no, I think that's actually good policy from the Ford government.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah. Then there's another one, the Housing Accelerator Fund. What does that do? What does that do?
What does that do?
What is that?
Well, it's federal money to give to the municipalities to actually create more housing. That's all it is. But I don't know. I think it's all scams. To be honest, it's not.
Like it's just glamour. It's just like they just said it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't actually do anything.
I gotta look into the details of what actually is involved in that. But I haven't. They are. The argument is that they're giving money to these municipalities to be able to issue more permits or something like that. But the thing is, they were going to do these anyway. I don't know. It's kind of scammy from what I understand. So I don't have the solution for this. I don't know what the answer is, but what would you guys do if you were mayor? Or even so at the municipal level, to create more housing, what would you do? If you're Mayor Batista.
To be honest, yeah, just I feel like it's such a double-edged sword, but like just literally letting people build is the biggest thing.
So that market factors just run its own course.
Yeah, but it might hit me back. So I don't know. I'm not good at politics.
I think my focus would be, really hammering highest and best use, because we hear that quite frequently for developments, highest and best use for land. And there is just so much land in Toronto still that's still either vacant or a parking lot or just underutilized.
Just not used, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they should definitely build towers on those vacant lands, but just not in my backyard.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's what I mean by double-edged sword.
That's
Like no matter what happens with that, like we have so much suburban places in Toronto where it's like they don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like look at the intensification of lands of the fourplexes of right now with the garden suite and our laneway suite.
Laneway High.
A lot
so
of
you can
people
potentially
find
get
that.
4+1 units in your house or in your lot.
Yep.
but how many of those are actually being built? Like a few of them, you see some good stories about it.
Yeah.
But it's not really making a dent on the housing because essentially you're not going to knock down your beautiful mansion or house or home or whatever it is, just to cut up these small little units that, instead of having 2,000 square foot or whatever it is, 3,000 square foot maybe, into like 800 square foot. Like you're not going to do that.
No.
And it's going to cost you X amount of dollars to get there, $300 a foot, $400 a foot to get there. I just don't see it happening. It's not going to make a big dent.
So as a municipal government, would you like incentivize people to do that? Like, and how would you do that?
Hey, you know what I would do? I would just eliminate the third of taxes, the 33% taxes, or at least minimize that.
Yeah.
I would lower the development levies. I know they're dependent on it, but just go get a loan from the provincial government or the federal government or something. Get some money from them. I know it's not easy, but raise the money. You know what I mean? Sell bonds. You know what I mean? Just like raise the money, or go into debt. I don't know. Borrow the money. I don't care. Just spur development by cutting some of these taxes and incentivizing people to do so. If you build X amount of affordable homes for, they have an affordable home thing, right? If you do a 20-year affordable home thing, then you get like some sort of incentives for, depending on what you're building. Do more of that.
The funny thing regarding this conversation that we're having is that it actually harks back to something that we said earlier, and that's people usually tend to blame the landlords for hoarding supply. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I was like, okay, to your point, the people that are actually building these lots with four housing units on it are flippers because they're taking on the risk. They're building it.
Yeah.
They're actually making sure that they follow the code and that it's livable. The people that are buying it are landlords who are funding these projects.
What do you mean people are buying it?
The people that are buying it, they're landlords. They're planning on either living in one of the units and renting out the other three, or they're planning on just renting it all out as an investment property. Like they're the ones who are funding the builders.
So don't hate the landlords.
I just don't think it's right to hate anybody. I wouldn't hate tenants. I don't hate
we all need
tenants
to
are
work
customers
together.
at the end of the day, and they need a place to live.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I just thought it was funny because I was like, it's
I don't even
actually,
hate government.
It's
like it's one of our solves, but like people hate them.
it's just funny because it's like it's the landlords who are buying these new places that
It's
are
capitalism.
newly built.
Look, it's capitalism at the end of the day, right? Nothing would have started if someone didn't take that risk to put that capital out there to build it.
Right.
And if they did that risk, they should get a return. Otherwise, why are they doing it? Right? What's the point of doing it? Just keep your money instead.
Right.
Right. So that's all it is. And I don't understand people that don't understand that argument. Move to Cuba. I don't know. Let the government take care of you.
Let the government take.
And on that bombshell.
All right. I think that's enough. We're going to get too deep into politics. So let's end it there.
Yeah. Just canceled after this episode.
Yeah. Peace.
Bye.
Add it up.
Thanks for sticking out to the very end. I hope you got some value out of this. Do me a favor, please press like and subscribe. But more than anything, leave me some feedback so we know what to produce for you going forward. Thanks again.